how many calories are burned in a HIIT session? How many calories are burned in a HIIT session was the first question. This came in from a guy I'm working with at the moment. So he's doing my online course, but hey Trish, how are you? But he's looking at getting his training done. He started to add HIIT sessions and stuff like that. So what he did here was he estimated by some app how many calories he had burned during his HIIT session. He did a Joe Wicks workout online, he followed that, and he estimated that this was the amount of calories he had burned. The problem arose for him when he decided to go to Dr. Google, the old Google machine, and he basically checked to see on Google how many calories are burned during a Joe Wicks workout. And the reading he got online was totally different to the reading that he got from his app of what he had burned. So his question to me was, how many calories are burned in a HIIT session? That is one that you cannot give a universal answer for. Nobody can give you a definitive, this is how many calories you burn in a HIIT session, because it's going to vary from one individual to the next. Two people could do the exact same workout and get a different calorie burn. So it's going to vary by things like your body composition, your fitness levels, your genetic ability. All of these factors come into play. So the point I was making to this guy was, he's quite fit, his fitness levels are quite good. So what I said to him was, we could have you here and we could have another person who's very overweight here training beside you. Now for you, that workout could be quite easy because your fitness levels are good. So you're going to burn a certain amount of calories there. For the other person who maybe is overweight, who maybe hasn't the same fitness levels, let's just say they're incredibly determined. Okay, so they're very determined and they get through the workout, but it's a serious struggle for them. By the end of that HIIT session, they've probably burned more calories than that fit person because they've had to work harder, because there's more of a stress on their body. It's not as easy for their body. Does that make sense? Okay, so their calorie count is probably totally different to yours. So by Googling things like that, you're just setting yourself up for failure really, because nobody can give you a definitive answer on that. It's always going to be different. So I hope that makes a bit of sense, guys. That's question number one dealt with, I think. So yeah, there's no universal, this is how many calories you burn in this exercise. It's going to vary from one person to the next. And it's even going to vary on how much effort you're putting into it. You could have two people of very similar fitness levels, but one is just hammering out reps and giving it everything, and the other person is going through the motion. So there's always going to be that little bit of a differential between one person and the next. Okay, that was the first question this evening. I'm going to keep moving on, guys. I don't have any questions to get through, so I'm just going to keep moving, working through it, and stop me if you need to. If you have any questions yourselves that you want to put up, just type up a little comment there and let me know, and that will be good, and I'll try and get them in before the end. Alright? So I'm just going to keep going while the going is good. The next thing was a discussion or a little piece of advice I gave to one of my clients. She's just kind of started out. She's been injured for a long time, so her training, she can't do that much intense stuff. She's an ankle injury, so she wasn't able to do that much in terms of, couldn't really get her out running, couldn't get her doing different things that kind of caused her problems. She didn't have a bike, so we were kind of limited in what we can do. And she was able to walk, so I just asked her to walk. We sorted out her food and she started seeing results from that straight away. But I asked her to walk as well. Initially, when she was walking, she had kind of estimated, yeah, I'd see him around 10,000 steps a day. But I kind of had a feeling she wasn't. And I just said to her, look, we're guessing here. We don't actually know. So I think it's a good idea, something to track steps and see where you're at, because I think the vast majority of people that estimated or guesstimated, they're a long way off. She had said to me, I think I'm at 10,000. And I was saying, well, how long are you walking for? And I don't think she was anywhere near, because normally 10,000 steps, no matter how you break it up, you're looking at probably walking for about an hour and 20 minutes, I think is what they say for the average person. So if you're a long way off that, you're probably not near 10,000. But no, she's a good client because she's quite competitive with herself anyway, and she likes to improve and she likes to better herself. So she went off and she got herself a wee Fitbit. Whatever, Fitbit is it? Garmin? Whatever it was, a Fitbit. So she started tracking them, and sure enough, she was nowhere near 10,000. But what it did, once she started tracking as well, it made it fun for her. It turned it into a little game. She was almost competing with herself. So one day she might be at 8,000 and then she's going, tomorrow I'm going to get 10. And it just automatically ups your levels. It's not that you need to be tracking forever, but I think if you need to get a starting point, it's a really, really, really good way of doing it. Because I even find myself, at the minute I'm doing a cut, so I brought my steps from 10,000 up to 15, but then I find myself going over that because I'm just getting competitive. I'm going to get 15 and a half tomorrow, I'm going to 16 tomorrow. That was what happened with her as well. Last Monday was it, I think, she recorded 21,000 steps. So it just shows you, like, it just switches the brain on. So little things like that, I think, are a massive help. If you haven't already done it, it might be worth trying. If you think you're near 10,000, I would definitely say just make sure, don't guess it. There's even apps on your phones and all that, you can check it out. So it's just a little tip for you guys, and it's one of the simplest things you can do, but it's very effective. Get the NEAT up. Okay, that's number 2. We're gonna keep going. Anybody else, guys? Questions? Pop them up. I'm just gonna keep going, otherwise I've only got about 4 questions there, so I'm through 2 of them already. If you have any more, just type them up and I'll try and get them answered for you. Let me just check that there. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so the next one. Next one is from another client I'm working with. I got an email from him today. He has been training very hard over the last, how long has he been working with me? Since before Christmas, I think. So he's doing really well. He had a bit of weight to lose. He's down, I think, just over 1.5 stone. So he's doing really well. But then the goal has changed because he likes running as well. So first of all, we got him in shape. And then it was more about kind of maintenance levels, but up in his performance. So what's happened is his running times have started coming down dramatically. So he's doing really well. The fact that he's not carrying around the extra weight. 1.5 stone is massive. And the point I was making to him was, if you think about that, it's 21 pounds. And if I was to get, think about a pound of butter. If I was to get 21 of those and put them in a backpack and tell him to carry them around on his run with him, it's a fair bit extra weight. So he's got rid of that. He's in better shape. His times are coming down. He's leaner. He's fitter. He's stronger. But I got an email from him today and he was just saying he's gone back to work on Monday. He went back on Monday. So up to now, over the last couple of months, like a lot of us, he's been working from home. Not even working from home. He wasn't working. He was at home, but he was putting a lot of time into his training and he's got a baby. So he's been quite busy. But he wasn't at work. He wasn't going to work. So his lifestyle is different. His routine is different. He went back to work on Monday and he said to me today that he's feeling lethargic and he's feeling tired and he's feeling a bit run down. And he was just kind of asking my opinion on what he should do or why that was. The first thing we kind of dug up was that since he went back to work, he hasn't been eating as regularly. So he's not eating what he needs at the moment. He's going long phases of the day without eating. And it's not even that he wasn't able to take breaks or anything like that. It's just more, I think, that it's not planned. The preparation wasn't really put into it. So we have to get right back to, here's the times you need to just sit down and have a piece of fruit or a handful of nuts. Just get those little snacks in that keep you ticking along. So that was one thing. The other thing was that his water intake went down as well. So that's just something else from just to focus on again, get the water intake up. And he came up with those solutions himself, which is great. He can see himself now. He doesn't even need me to tell him anymore. He's coming up with those solutions. But my input on it was this. I also think he needs a deload week. So he's been training really hard. He's been out running miles on the road. He's been doing HIIT sessions with me. I think a couple of weeks ago he asked me could he do 2 sessions in the day. He wanted to do a session in the morning, do a session in the evening. So he's been working really, really hard. When that happens, you can very often hit a wall. You get to a stage where you just need to take the intensity down a little bit and you just need to reduce that workload. And it's something I do with my own training all the time. Typically every kind of 6 to 8 weeks, I'll take a week where the workload is a lot lighter. So rather than training hard 5 days, I might bring it down to 2 or 3 light sessions in that week, give the body time to recover, and then the following week you're full of energy and you're ready to go again. So my advice to this guy was, take the training load down, don't train for the rest of this week, and just eat plenty. So eat loads, get the energy levels back up, rest, let the body recover, and next week you'll probably be right as rain again. So that is just something that might be relevant for a few people. Take off your hat. Not a hope, Alex. My hair, it's absolutely crazy. I'm like a rock star at the minute. I'm actually going to have to tie it up or something. It's getting ridiculous. But I'm hoping against hope that the hairdressers and the barbers might be open by the end of the month. Please God. Please God. Otherwise I'm goosed. That's 3 questions done, guys. I have 1 left. If anybody has any questions yourselves, will you just type them up there, please, and thank you. Otherwise, I'm just going to do my last question now. Okay, last one. It's a little bit different again. This is from somebody. I'm thinking of coaching a kids' football team. Any tips? Thinking of coaching a kids' football team. Any tips? Apart from don't do it. No, it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not going to say don't do it. With a kids football team, what I would say to you here, I've done this myself in the past. I've coached teenage teams and that as well, and it's definitely not the easiest job in the world, and I think you've got to be a certain type of person to do it, and you have to be fairly into it. If you don't enjoy it, they're going to see that. So I think first and foremost, make sure that it is something you really want to do. Secondly, the piece of advice I would give to anybody who's thinking of coaching any team, whether it's kids or it's adults, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you've got to show that you're interested in those people, and you've got to actually go and make an effort with them and really have conversations with them. Don't go in there playing the big I am. Don't go in there just barking out instructions and tell them do this, do that, do the other. You have to show a genuine interest in them, and you have to show that you care, and you have to show that you want the best for them, and you want to get the best out of them, and you want to help them as much as you can. So that's the first thing that I would always say to anybody who's thinking of coaching anybody, whether it's kids or whether it's adults. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So don't go in there showing off information and trying to put across that that it's all about you. It's not an ego thing. Make sure that you're doing it for them. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing I would say to you with regards to coaching kids is make it fun for them. make it fun. There's nothing worse than somebody going in there and giving really technical instructions and trying to get them doing the same thing for 15 minutes, even though that might work with adults and you're improving technique. With kids it won't, because they'll get bored very, very quick. So you need to make it fun for them. You need to, I suppose, get your teaching point across and then maybe put it into a little game or something like that, so that it actually reinforces it and they can see the reason behind it. So make it fun. Always, if you can, make it as much fun as possible. Their attention spans are very short, especially the younger ones. That's one thing I used to discover. I was doing boxing classes for a couple of years with kids, and I used to take younger groups and then I take older groups, so we did everything from 5 years up, and just with those ages, their attention span is just, it's minute. So you need to keep mixing things up and you need to keep it fun for them, otherwise you're going to lose them pretty quick. Anything else I wanted to put in there? Yeah, the other thing I would say to you is simple works. Simple works, so don't overcomplicate it. Simple works, and to this day I use that when I'm teaching fitness classes with adults, or even if I'm doing a workshop, I'll keep it as simple as possible, because it's more important that people grasp the point and they can take it away than you trying to use advanced terms and trying to come up with really complicated exercises. What actually happens a lot of the time with classes, if you're trying to overcomplicate the exercises, people get confused, and that slows the whole thing down and the intensity goes out of it, so they don't get the same workout. So that's why I always say simple works. You cannot go wrong, okay? I think I'm done, guys. Have you any questions there for me? Drop them up if you have, because I am out of questions. Done and dusted for this evening. That is another week in the bag. I think there's no questions coming up there, is there? No. I think we're good. I think we're done. I think we're done and dusted for this evening. This is probably week 8 or 9 now, I think, folks, with the live Q&As. If you haven't seen them, there's some really good stuff in the other ones. There's some great questions in over the last few weeks. So yeah, just go back and watch them. And I'm starting to upload them to Instagram now as well, because I don't have time to do Facebook Live and Instagram Live. So I'm just uploading the Facebook ones to Instagram, and they're going to be drip fed over the next few weeks. So that is it, guys. That is it. I think I'm out of here because I don't see any questions coming up. A pleasure, as always. If you have any questions you want answered in the live Q&A, send them in. I can keep you anonymous. As you see, I don't name names when I'm reading out questions, because I don't think it's fair. Some people just want their question answered without people knowing who they are. So that can be done. If you have any questions,